Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the stream today. As usual, all of you are a bit early and we will get started with the class at 2 o'clock. So that is about 19 minutes from now. If you are just turning on the live stream now and you're watching it in the future, maybe tonight or tomorrow, and you want to know when does the lesson start, well, fast forward about 20 minutes into the video and that will be when it starts. Before that though, I have some announcements, but first let me just see who's in the chat. Let's see who's here. Hey, Samantha Johnson, Joe Turner. 안녕하세요. Nice. And Paulina Carolina. I'm not sure if your name is supposed to rhyme, but it will always rhyme now when I say it. And Bonnie, hey, 안녕하십니까 여러분. 빌리 선생님. Hello. Chris O. 안녕하세요. Welcome. Many people are still flowing into the channel, so I'll give you a minute to kind of get ready to learn for today. If you have any questions before the lesson starts, this would be a good time to ask it before the lesson starts. Once the lesson starts, we'll of course take some questions regarding the lesson, but if you have any unrelated questions, feel free to ask those now. Paulina, you have an interview on Wednesday with a company in Seoul? Nice. I won't ask what the company is, but if you get the job, then you can let me know. But good luck with that. 행운을 빌게요. I wish you luck and 화이팅. Fighting. Just fight them if they say no. Gloves come off. You're like, I'm getting this job. Whether you say 싫어 or not. That's how it works in the Korean, the corporate world. Yes, everyone, welcome to the stream. I have a few announcements, of course, as always, before we get started. So let me get right into those announcements. The first of which is the live stream schedule is a little bit different. So let me post that. If you're wondering when is the next live stream, you can always check in the Google document that I have, which has all of the live streams I've ever done for classes anyway, all the topics, the links to everything. And at the bottom of there, since it's in order, at the bottom will be the future live stream dates. So if you want to know, hey, is there a class this Sunday or next Sunday, or when's the next class? I want to prepare for it. It's always going to be in there. And the time will always be the same. If I have to change the time someday, I will definitely announce it. But it's been the same time since forever, since 2018 when I started doing these. It's been the same time, 2 o'clock Los Angeles time. But the schedule is a tiny bit different. So we actually have, there's two announcements. The first one, I'll just continue this one, and then I'll make the reason for this is the next announcement. So there is no live class next Sunday. So there is live class today. There will not be a live class next Sunday, but the next Sunday after that and the following Sunday will both have live classes. And then there will be another break and then another 2 live streams in a row. So if you're wondering, wait, say that again, Billy? Just check the Google document that I posted in the channel. Nightbot shared the link there. You can find out exactly what days I am streaming. And the reason for that is the second announcement, which I've already made on my Patreon page. So if you're a Patreon member, you already know that. But I'm going to be going back to Korea again. Yay! It's pretty routine now at this point. It's like, Billy's in Korea most of the time. Yeah, I'm in Korea. I'd say realistically about 4 months out of every year. So about a third of every year I am in Korea. So me going back to Korea shouldn't really be too much of a surprise. Yes, so soon. I know I just got back last month technically, but yeah, so I'm going again. Yeah, it was the beginning of last month that I got back. It's only been like a month, just a little over a month since I've been back now. And I'm going to be going again. Without saying the exact date, I'll just say it's the end of next month that I'll be going there, and I'll stay there for about 3 weeks. And yeah, so because of that, because I'm going to be going to Korea again, the day I'm leaving, I'm not going to be able to do a live stream like immediately before I leave because it would be really inconvenient to have to take my equipment down and pack it and take it back out. So in order to make sure I can still have the same number of live streams. So you're not losing any live streams. It's the same amount, but so that you don't lose any and so that it's, nice and neat before I go, And a couple other reasons also, which aren't really important. But I'm going to be changing the live stream schedule just for next week. So you can find that on the Google document. But again, no live stream next Sunday. But after that, there will be 2 more, and then a break, and then 2 more. And then after that, I'm going to be leaving to Korea. So that's the main announcement for today. I'm going back to Korea. If you have any requests, any suggestions, Billy, I'd like you to film a video with this YouTuber, or I'd like you to film a video about this topic or whatever. Although I can't promise I can make them all. In fact, I have way too many ideas than I could make. I'm still open for ideas, and I still do want to hear what you would like me to film. And the reason is, if enough people want the same types of videos, if there are enough requests that are similar, then that tells me, oh, this video, people really want this video. It's not one person, but like several people would like to see this type of video. And that's a big motivation, or I guess a big reason that I should make that kind of video. So it has a higher chance of being made the more people want that kind of video. Anyway, feel free to leave your suggestions for videos you'd like me to film this next trip in Korea. The weather will be very nice. I already have a few collabs planned as it is. Another reason I'm going to be going back down toward Busan again for a different video, and a couple other people that I'm already planning on meeting up with, but there's still room for some more. 3 weeks is not a lot of time, but it's enough time to get at least between 8 videos done, maybe 8 to 10 videos done, depending on what types of videos I film. So it is a good amount of time to get lots of stuff done. Let's see what else. Okay, the other announcements are the same ones I give every time. The first one being you can get the outline and worksheet for every live stream on Patreon. So the worksheet is already up, and the outline will go up as soon as this live stream's over. You can find all of the past live streams there as well. Every single one I've ever done has an outline, and you can find all of those and download them all from Patreon. So that's for any level of Patreon. Even if you only want to pay $1, you can pay $1, download all of them and cancel. That's fine too if you like. It's just only available on Patreon. That's just a bonus. And you don't need the outlines. They're just, you can of course take notes, but they are pretty much my notes. So they might have more things than you were writing down. Or you just want to review them really quick without watching the live streams. Another announcement is if you are a member of this channel, you also get abridged versions of these videos the same day they go up. So tonight you can watch the abridged version of this lesson we're doing right now. And you can also watch them forever. As long as I do these live streams, the classes will, whenever I do the classes, the abridged versions will be available the same night for channel members. Also, there is a free Discord channel you can join. There's a link in the video description. Hold on. Let's see here. What do we want to put up here? Let's do a, let's put a KeyCat. Let's put a KeyCat shirt here. KeyCat shirt. There we go. There is merchandise. Sorry, that's why I was just putting that on the chat right now. There's merchandise if you'd like to support this channel. Lots of branded stuff with KeyCat or me or other random things on it. You can check it out. A couple things my wife actually designed. A few shirts that are still up there that people seem to like. And I haven't yet seen someone wearing one in person. I've seen some people post it, but when I go to Korea, if I see someone wearing that, I'm totally going to stop you and ask you to take a picture with me. But yeah, that's just one more way you can support me. And that is all of the announcements I have. So let me go to the chat and let's see what's going on for the next 10 minutes before we start. Hey, Christopher Fox, welcome. Okay, let's see. Someone said, wish me luck. I'm trying to get into Seoul National University. Awesome. Good luck with that. It sounds like good luck with that. No, that's great. Good luck. Hope you can get that. Lauren Holton asks, unrelated to Korean, but do you ever get nervous or anxious? Well, that is related to Korean because many people get anxious. They feel anxiety when they're trying to speak Korean, and myself included. I actually made a video about that topic, I think a year or two ago. It didn't get very many views, but there is a video about, if you search anxiety on my channel, you can see where I talk about my own experience with anxiety speaking Korean. And it was a lot worse when I was first learning Korean, and even when I first started this channel. I've gotten better recently, but it is something that you just kind of have to, just have to get over by doing it a lot. And I explain tips for what I did to get over it as well. And yeah, now I feel like it's not really an issue to me anymore like it used to be now. But it is quite a normal thing. I think a lot of people have some sort of anxiety about speaking Korean for different reasons. You know, it might be the reason is you're afraid of making mistakes. You're afraid of sounding like you're not smart. You know, that's kind of common. Bonnie says, will you meet up with Terim and do a collab? Yes, actually, I would like to. And I believe we're talking about it, but I can't really share any other information about it yet. We're still working on the details. But yes, that is also in the plans. Random Name asks, can Patreon suggest topics for these lives as well? Yes, Patreon members as well. Patreon members, anyone can actually suggest a topic, but I take the suggestions from members and Patreons a lot higher, or I should say I take them first. So I had a suggestion for a topic from a Patreon member. I actually got 2 just last week. So I'm going to be adding those to the next vote that we do for these. And if you have your own topic, if I have something I haven't done before or something you'd still like to see me do again, feel free to leave that anywhere you can contact me. Tracy Rhodes, Stray Kids are making a comeback? I didn't know that they disappeared though. They've still been going. I guess by comeback you simply mean they're releasing another album and doing touring again. As far as I know, they haven't stopped. But I don't keep up too much with K-pop, so I'm not sure the terminology used, but that's my assumption, is that by comeback, they just mean they're doing another album. Like, if you hear, oh, Twice is doing a comeback, like, they're still active, I guess. I mean, I guess so. If you told me, like, you know, Backstreet Boys or NSYNC was doing a comeback, well, okay, that's different. That's a completely different thing. You know, if you told me, like, what was it? Like Wonder Girls were doing a comeback or something. I'd be like, oh, wow, I haven't heard that in like a decade. Lauren says, my new flatmate is learning Korean and I'm terrified of being judged on my progress. Yes, that's another cause of anxiety, is comparing yourself to others, which I actually have a separate video all about. And it also didn't get very many views. I think I need to format my videos better. I need to produce my videos better so that the ones with the important information about learning in general, those types of videos, anxiety or comparing yourself, so that those videos can get more views. I have to work on that. I have to improve my production skills. Jordan says, my anxiety is I just got back from Korea and my Korean is getting worse now. That's unavoidable. Unless you're still studying and using Korean outside of Korea, that's what happens. Now, for me, I actually feel like my Korean gets better. Sometimes it seems to get better when I'm not in Korea, simply because when I'm in Korea, I spend so much time. All I'm doing is using Korean when I'm in Korea, except for a couple Korean friends I have who prefer to speak in English. Or for example, Hyunwoo. If I meet Hyunwoo, I don't speak in Korean with him. We just use English. But except for a few people like that, I'm only using Korean when I'm in Korea. But I'm not studying any Korean when I'm in Korea. So my Korean, although might sound more fluid when I'm there, it's not really improving because my Korean I can already have full conversations without any difficulty. But when I'm not in Korea, I spend a lot of my time doing vocabulary review. I'm doing business Korean lately. That's what I've been focusing on. I did idioms and hanja and all that stuff. So I get to improve my Korean when I'm not in Korea, and then I use all of that when I go to Korea. So if you have some sort of a good study schedule and you're using your time well, then you could be in Korea or out of Korea and still improve. You just improve in different skills. And I also use a lot of spoken Korean when I'm not in Korea as well, though it's less than when I am in Korea. Ayakata, did you see the news? I'm watching it right now. Don't spoil anything. Yes, everyone should watch Cobra Kai. If you're a fan of the original Karate Kid movie, then it's definitely fun. It's cheesy, but it's like the right amount of cheese. Yeah, I'm a fan of that show. I watch very few TV shows. I could count the number of shows that I watch easily on one hand, and that's one of them. That's the thumb. Paulina says, when can we expect a new Hanta video? Well, let me check. Let's see. lately I've been uploading the Master Politeness level course, which is actually finishing. This next Monday will be the final episode of Master Politeness levels, episode 24. And after that, we will go back to learn the Korean FAQ videos. Let's see. The next one that's specifically Hanja is toward the end of October, so you'll have to wait a bit. But I do have some cool videos coming up in the meantime. The first Korean FAQ video is going to be about super large numbers in Korean. So you're going to learn how you can count to like trillion, that sort of thing and beyond. And they're not useless numbers, but you'll learn about all of those. So beyond, the ones that everyone knows, of course, are, 10, 100, man, ok. Those are the most common, but then you can go way beyond there. So we're going to talk about the commonly used ones and uncommonly used ones, all of that, and how you can calculate it. There's like a trick. So it's easy to do. You don't have to like memorize these really long numbers. It's really easy, and I tell you that trick in the video. So that's coming up the next Monday after this coming next Monday. And then a few other fun ones. Since you're here, I'll tell you in advance. Everyone else has to wait. And I'm not going to say it again. After that, there's going to be a video about the weekdays in Korean and how the weekdays in Korean are actually the exact same weekdays that we use in English and that they have the same origin. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's the same in English, believe it or not. So that's going to be a fun video. It's a topic that I've been interested in for years and have done a lot of research into. And finally, I get to make a video about it. So I think most people don't know this, but Korean has the same, the days of the week, there is same origin as we do in English. After that, I made a video. I think it's how much Korean you should be studying. I think it is. I have to remember the title. And then I make one about how to count days, a different system for counting days that isn't like not just, this is the system for haru itter, that system, not ir 3일, not that one. So this is a different system for counting days, how it differs, when you use it, what numbers you need to know. There's some numbers you don't need and a few you really do need. So I talk about that. Another video about yet another way to count things with another number system that you might not have ever heard unless you're an advanced learner. You probably have never learned this number system before, but it is also used a lot. A couple of videos about Hanja, and then how to start a conversation in Korean. So how to start a conversation with someone when you're trying to practice Korean. How to say hot and warm, how to say cold and cool, and that is it until I film some more. And I have a lot of cool ideas, which I'm going to be filming next as well. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to film exactly, but yeah, there's a lot of cool ones, including more Hanja, as well maybe a video about Kukja. I'll see. I have to check if I have enough stuff written for that one. That's one that I'm still working on as well. Kukja is Korean characters. So Hanja is from China. So those are Chinese characters, Hanja, of Chinese origin. And those ones came over into Korea around the Tang dynasty. Or we say in English, Tang dynasty. Now it makes me, I was thinking of like Tang, the orange drink. The Tang dynasty was when a lot of these readings came over into Korea from North Chinese dialects. So North Chinese dialects, the pronunciation of those words and the Hanja together came over into Korea. So that's why you have those words that are Hanja that are so many, same words as in Chinese and in Japanese. It's from that period. I believe it was like the 800s to 1200, around then. I'd have to check when the Tang dynasty was. But then there are also separate characters that were created within Korea. So they look like Chinese characters. They're written the same way, but they're not from China, and China doesn't use them. Oh, except for actually a couple exceptions. China did adopt them back from Korea and use them as their own. But there are some characters, a good handful of them, that are actually Korean origin characters. And it's what I've actually done a research paper about this before a long time ago. And so maybe I'll make a video about that if I have enough for that. So this is just a little bit of a spoiler into what's going on in the future, but nothing yet. I still have to write it and film it. Okay. Oh, hey, Secretive, welcome. Row 2 says they are related to the elements, planets. Not planets, yes. Elements, no. Interesting, huh? You'll see this. It's not what you think. Like I said, it really does have the same origins as English. Okay. Yes. Okay, that's enough spoilers. So let's get started with the lesson for today. The prerequisites you want to know before we start the lesson are how to conjugate verbs to adjectives. So here are a quick few examples of what I'm talking about. If you have a verb, an action verb, for example, 먹다, to eat. 먹다 could become, well, it's to eat. So how would you use this as an adjective? Well, what if you have a 사람, a person, a noun, person, 사람. 먹는 사람, a person who eats. So you can say 피자를 먹는 사람, a person who eats pizza, or someone who eats pizza, like that. Now 먹다, to eat, a verb, is an adjective. 먹는, so someone who eats, something who eats, a noun that eats. 먹는. But you can also do adjectives in other tenses, and specifically you need to know the past tense as well with action verbs. So you can say a person who eats, 먹는, but you could also say a person who, past tense, a person who ate pizza. 피자를 먹은 사람. So now you have a person who ate pizza. So a noun that ate, past tense, something. So you want to know how to do it in present tense as well as past tense for action verbs. With descriptive verbs, you only need to know how to conjugate them into regular present tense adjectives. That's the basic adjective form. So 작다, to be small. 작은, so you can say 작은 집, a small house. Literally, since it's present tense, what you're saying is a house that is small, right? So here we had a person that eats pizza, or a person who ate whatever. But now we have a something that is small. Because there is a past tense adjective form as well, and a future tense. You could say a house that was small. You know, it's big now, but the house that was small, that was here, like that. But for this form, you only need to know these versions. You only need to know how to say it in present tense and past tense for action verbs, and in the present tense only for descriptive verbs. Note that there are different conjugation rules depending on which verb you're using. For example, if you're using the verb 살다, to live, that would not become 살는, but it would become 사는. The lir would go away. Or if you have the verb 덥다, to be hot, the descriptive verb, well, that wouldn't be 덥은, but it would be 더운. So keep that in mind. And you should know this sort of conjugation before starting today's intermediate lesson because it's the most important form that you need for today. Rui Chong Qin Dynasty. Are you talking about? I'm talking about the Tang Dynasty. Okay. So, that there. Let's go into our form. So our form is actually pretty easy. The form we're going to be learning today, if you know how to conjugate verbs into adjectives, it's quite easy to use. You take a verb stem, and then you conjugate it into an adjective by either attaching 는 or 은. Sorry, let's do that again. 는 or 은 or just a nian, right? And this depends on the verb. These are just some examples. And then you'll add 척 with the object, optionally with the object marker, and then 하다. Just a quick note, if you're using the object marker, you're going to write it like this. 척을 space 하다. If you're not using the object marker, it's written as one word. 척하다. Just keep that in mind. So if you want to use a space, you have to, so if you want to use the object marker, you have to add a space. Otherwise, it's one word. So that's all you have to do. So what does this form mean? Oh, actually, first, let me do a quick example. This can be used with action verbs and descriptive verbs. If you're using it with an action verb, it can be used with the present tense or the past tense adjective. So let me give you an example. If you have 먹다, you can say 먹는 척하다. Or 먹은, past tense, 척하다. And if you're using this with a descriptive verb, you simply use the present tense. So you could say something like 귀여운 from to be cute. 귀여운 척하다. So that's all you need to know for conjugation, which is pretty simple. So what this form means is to pretend. To pretend. With a verb, it's going to be to pretend to do something. So 먹는 척하다, to pretend to 먹다, to pretend to eat. Or you might see it translated as to act like someone's doing something. To act like. So to act like you're eating. Like I'm acting like I'm eating, but I didn't really eat anything. Or 먹은 척하다, to act like or to pretend like I ate, like I had eaten something. Like I didn't eat it, but I'm acting like I already ate it. Oh, I'm so full, like that. So it's a little bit different, the tense. Or here, 귀여운 척하다, to act like you're cute, to pretend like you're cute, to play like, to act cute is what we would say. Hey, stop acting cute. Or that person, they're just acting cute. They're not really cute. They're just acting cute. They're pretending to be cute, right? Okay. So for a little bit more detail about what this means, to pretend to do something or to act like you're doing something, it means you're behaving in a way as if something is happening or as if something is, but that's not true. So that's just a clarification, just in case you're wondering in what way do I mean pretend. So you're acting like something, you're behaving in a certain way as if something were, or as if you were doing something, but you're not. It's not true. That's what this form means. And if you understand this, the conjugation and what it means, you have the whole form down. There are a couple other things I'm going to talk about as well, but this is 99% of what you need in order to use this form. So write this down. Take a minute to write it down. Before I erase it and I tell you a little bit more that we can learn about it, this is pretty much it. This is easily most of what you need. Okay, let's check the chat. Sophia Amanda, yes, more Hanta. Yes, there will be more Hanta, don't worry. Oh, and I missed a couple things people said before as well. Samantha Johnson said, I've been studying for 2 years and your Korean Made Simple workbooks are a big help. Awesome. Thank you. Jordan Cohen asked, do you do meetups when you're in Korea? Yes, I do meetups sometimes. The last one I did was this year, actually, in July. And I did film a video there, which I'm going to be uploading sometime, I think, next month. So that will be a interview I filmed. But normally I don't. I'd say I did last one I had done was in 2019. So 3 years. Yeah, I think 3 years. Is that right? 3 years later? Because I didn't 2020, 21, 22. Yeah, 3 years. So 3 year gap. Though I might do another one next summer. We'll see. But I won't be there in February. So maybe in if I do another one in the summer. 저는 착한 척해요. I am acting like I'm nice. Okay? You can do that. 시치미? No, 시치미 is different. That's to play dumb. To pretend like you don't know something. That's a different meaning. And that would be an idiomatic expression, not a grammar form. So that's simply a single sentence you can say. Okay, so this is all you need to know for conjugation. We're not done talking about this form, though. Let me give you a quick example of a conjugation you might see. So let's just take the verb 하다, to do. So you could get 하는 척 하다 or 하는 척 하다. Notice that you can write it with or without a space. Should you space it? Yes, you should add a space. But I will say that no space is also considered to be correct as well. So this is just a small note for how you can space this form. Yeah, that's really it. I just wanted to let you know about how to space it in case you see it with or without a space. Some resources I've seen will not space it, but both spacing it or not spacing it are both okay. But I recommend spacing it. It looks cleaner and it's more technically correct, although this is also acceptable. So this is the official rule, but this way is also accepted. Okay. Something else that you should know about this form is with one specific verb, 알다, to know. Whenever you're using this verb with this form, it will only be conjugated in the present tense. 아는. So you can have 아는 척하다, pretending to know. You would not use this in the past tense as 안 척하다, pretended to had know. You would simply say, if you wanted to say he pretended that he knew, you would simply say 아는 still in the present. 아는 척했어요. So that person pretended that they knew, but it literally means pretended that they know. So this one is only conjugated as 아는, even if you're talking about the past tense. That's it. That's all you need to know. And it's only for this verb. If you're using the verb 모르다, to not know, you could say 모르는 척 or 모른, past tense, 척. And those are both okay. Different meanings, but both okay. And there's only one more tiny thing that you need to know about this form. There's one more very small thing that you should know about this form. And that is, there's another form that has the exact same I almost said Misa. Misa. Misa loved learning Korean. Oh my goodness. You've learned Korean with Jar Jar. Coming up. There's another verb, 체하다. Now, it is 체를 하다. This is most commonly simply written as 체하다. But this one has the exact same meaning as 척. 체, 척. Exact same meaning, exact same usage, exact same spacing, everything. However, 체하다 is less commonly used, but it's not awkward. It just has a slightly more of a bookish feel to it, but the meaning is the same. So use either one. And every sentence that we're going to do today, and every sentence that uses this form can be swapped with 체 if you want. And the meaning will be the exact same. And it's not going to sound unnatural or anything like that. Okay, now you know everything there is about this form. And that was only 10 minutes. We spent 10 minutes and covered the entire form. There's nothing else you need to know. Okay, that was the lesson for today. No, of course not. How would you say this sentence then? I'm pretending to study. Take a couple minutes. Write down in chat, how would you say, I'm pretending to study? Now, I'll let you know that even though you're saying, actually, I'll let you do it. I'm not going to give you any notes. Go for it. Let's see what you got. I'm pretending to study. It's not a trick question. I'm letting you know this is not a trick question. Carrie. 수업 때 새 문법을 이해하는 척하는 편이에요. Yes, but I can know if you really do or not by how you can answer these questions. You might act like you're understanding, but when you actually have to, when you're in the hot seat and you actually have to come up with sentences, that's when I can know someone's Korean ability by how can they actually respond in the moment, not how they write something down, not necessarily how they appear in a video, but when I'm right there, how do they sound? And yeah, I hear some people I'll hear where I talk to them and they don't sound anything like they do when I see them in a video. It's just, it's different environment. You can't trick me. Okay, let's see what everyone's getting. Oh, people are starting all already. Okay. Oh, Road 2 asked. Yes, that's a good example. Would. 저는 한국어를 잘하는 척해요. I pretend I speak Korean well. Yes, that makes sense. If you're Paulina, if you're saying let's pretend, that means let's assume. If you mean it in that sense. If you just mean it as let's act like, then that's okay. But if you're trying to say, well, let's pretend that this, then that's not the same form. This is to actually do something or actually act in a certain way. If you just say, well, let's pretend that, I'm not busy on that day and the other friend is not, if you're giving us an example, that would be let's assume or assuming, that sort of thing. That would be a different form. Unless you meant it like this form, then it's okay. 공부하는 척해요. I'm pretending to study. 공부하는 척하고 있어요. Yes, I am pretending to study. That's right. Both of those are good. I'm going to read through everyone's really quickly to see if there's anything I should point out. Ocean discovery. Ocean discovery. Check your verb at the end. Rui Cheng, that would be past tense. I pretended that I studied. I pretend that I had studied. That wouldn't be this. This is I am pretending to study, like now. 공부하는 척하고 있어요. Nice stationary bunny. Sophia, 공부하는 척하는 중. I'm currently in the process of pretending that I'm studying. You don't need to use the 중 form for that. Sometimes less is more, but grammatically you're okay. Row 2, yes. Mememasoma, I can't pronounce your name. You wouldn't want to use the progressive. Remember how I said to conjugate this? It's simply the verb conjugated present tense or past tense. Yes, Carrie. 공부하는 척하고 있어요. So I am pretending. So remember the I am doing part is on the pretending. So 척하고 있어요 would be how you'd conjugate it, which is what you got, Carrie. That's nice. And yes, ocean discovery as well. 공부하는 척하고 있습니다. I am pretending to study. Okay, very nice. Awesome. And that's pretty much the exact answer that I got as well. This is the first one, so it's a little simple. We'll get a little bit harder one soon. 저는 I 공부하는 척. So pretending to study. So 척하고 있어요. I am pretending to study. 저는 공부하는 척하고 있어요. 저는 공부하는 척하고 있어요. I am pretending to study. One small note about pronunciation. When you have 척하 or hey or anything like that, this letter meeting this letter means that this hiat here changes, well, this goes away, and this hiat here changes into this letter. Anytime you have a regular base consonant, any of these consonants that can change into a strong version, it does. So hiat, this hiat here changes into a kiak, so you're left with the sound of 척하고 있어요. 척하고. 척하고. So you can guess that sound as well by saying it kind of quickly. You can say 척하다. It'll happen anyway, but there is an official rule for it as well. So you get 척하고, 척하다, or 척해요. The reason I'm telling you this is because it's always going to be followed by this hiat sound here, and you're always going to get this. So it's always going to become this sound, this letter, no matter how it's conjugated. 척하고, 척해, 척했어요, 척한, anything like that. Just a note to keep in mind. Okay, all of these sentences for today's lesson, and I have 5 more, all of the sentences can be made by you. And I'm going to have you make all of them, with a couple exceptions for like a couple words here and there. The next one, this one's much harder. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to write this one out. I pretended to know a lot about basketball. This would be something I could do. I actually don't know anything about basketball. So if someone asked me, I'd have to pretend. I'd be like, oh yeah, when he kicked the grand slam, it was incredible. It won the game, and it went into the after inning. And then he got the gold ring for winning the trophy. But then he got tackled, so they called a foul. And the player was taken out of the rink until the end of the match. It was pretty riveting, actually. The only thing cooler was the quarter time show that they did. I pretended to know a lot about basketball. Yeah, before doing a hat trick. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm just reading some of yours. Nice. I don't want to. Maybe I shouldn't say it out loud because then it'll spoil it for people who haven't done it. They're gonna hear me say it and they're gonna write that out. So I'm gonna wait a second before I start reading about. Okay, let me give you a tip to make this better. You could say a lot with mani. Another way you could say a lot, and I'll say it's gonna be a little more natural, is gonna be tai. There's an expression, actually it's not an expression, maybe just a combination of words is 잘 알다. Literally to know well. So you know something well. In English we would say, I know a lot about it. But you could say 많이 알다. 많이 알다 is simply you know lots of details about something. You know a lot about something in general. 잘 알다 is also used in Korean as well. And this is just a more broad term for you're very familiar with something. So there's like, I'm really familiar with that. Yeah, I know it like the back of my hand. 잘 알다. So I recommend use 잘 알다, but I'm not knocking down any points for using 많이 알다. That's also okay too. If you wrote 많이 before, don't bother changing it. It's fine. I'm just giving I'm slowly just giving some suggestions for people who haven't tried it yet. About, many people already have it, but you'll have the noun followed by 에, 대, 해, and then optionally 서. So 에, 대, 해, 서. And basketball is 농구. In fact, a really easy way to remember all of these is ball. The 한자 for ball is 구. So all of those games that end in ball in English, baseball, basketball, volleyball, what's the table tennis ball? Yeah, well, anyway, that has ku in the end in Korean too. All of them end with ku in Korean as well. Like they're quite literal translations of the English words if you look it up. JC, please type in Hangul for this live stream so that everyone can read it. 척했어요. Okay. Nice. Let's see what everyone has. I'm just going to read them really quickly. 많이 아는 척하고 있었어요. Nice, Sophia. Like you added. I was pretending. Okay. Don't be afraid to think out of the box a little, as long as it still fulfills the general sentence. 농구에 대해서 많이 아는 척했어요. Christopher Fox, you're missing an A, but the rest of your sentence is good. Okay, nice. HLRC has 농구에 대해, you have a typo in 대해, but your sentence is great. 많은 것을 아는 척했어요. I pretended that I knew a lot about basketball. 아는 척했어요. Nice. 잘 아는 척했어요. Nice ocean discovery. And you put a basketball there. Maddie, remember the verb at the end. The verb is not 이다. The verb is 하다. Nice. Yeah, Ocean Discovery. I started deciding I want to have the viewers make more sentences for more long-term retention. I want to make sure the viewer, because anyone can watch the lesson, but I was like, I want the people who watch it to actually get it. Everyone else who watches it later, if they watch the abridged version, they can just study the sentences really quick and write them down. But if you're here for the live stream, you're here for a class. So I want you to do it. And great sentences, everyone, great sentences. I'm going to give you my answer. But if yours is not my answer, just look at my answer and decide for yourself why is it not the same? And it's fine. As long as you know how it's different, there is no one correct answer for this. Okay. So what I have is, first part is going to be the same as everyone else. 농구에 대해. Just to be fancy, I made this one with 체하다. This one uses 체하다, but note you could switch this for 척하다, and it's the exact same meaning. 농구에 대해 잘 아는 체 했어요. 농구, basketball. 농구에 대해, about basketball. 잘 알다, literally to know something well, to be very familiar with it, so to know a lot about it. 잘 아는 체 했어요. So I pretended, past tense, I pretended to know a lot about basketball. 농구에 대해 잘 아는 체 했어요. You could also say 농구에 대해 잘 아는 척 했어요, and it would have the same meaning. So I pretended to know a lot about basketball. Okay. This next sentence, I also want you to finish it. I'm going to start the sentence though. I'm going to start the sentence and I want you to finish it. 아팠지만. So I was sick, but I pretended to be okay. Go ahead. I was sick. 아프다 is literally to hurt or to be sick. So it's the same verb you would use for either. 아프다, to be sick. So past tense, I was sick. 지만, but. 아팠지만, I was sick, but I pretended to be okay. I pretended to be okay. So I pretended I'm okay, but I was sick. I know you can do this one, but here's a tip. Think first about what descriptive verb are you going to use to say to be okay. Then think about how that verb is conjugated, and then you can go ahead and try the sentence. And before you press enter, read it out to yourself out loud and think if that's what you want to say. And I would also ask that you also write this part in your sentence, just so that it's easy so you can read it, like you get a full sentence that way. So add this in, give it your best shot. I'm going to start reading through here and see what you're getting. I want to say great job. A bunch of people are already getting it, but I don't want to spoil the right answer yet for a few more seconds. Okay. Nice. Our Moonchild, what is the verb you chose there? And what type of verb is it? I'll just ask you those. So what is it, a descriptive verb or an action verb? And then what does the verb mean? So it doesn't mean to be okay, but I don't want to spoil the answer for you. The reason is someone else saw that and wrote the same thing. So that's why I'm just checking. Sophia, I can't not comment on that. Nice job. Nice. I didn't think anyone would use that verb, but that also works. So it's a little different meaning. Sophia has 아팠지만 멀쩡한 척 했어요. 멀쩡하다 is another verb. It means to be intact, to be unscathed, to be uninjured, to be fine. Like maybe you fell down and someone asks, are you okay? You could use 괜찮다. You can also use 멀쩡하다. But usually it's also used for things like objects. Like maybe you drop a cake on the floor, but the cake falls right side up and it looks fine. Maybe like a little piece fell off. So you're like, oh, 멀쩡해 보이네. Oh, it looks fine, like that. So yeah, it's like intact, that sort of undamaged type of meaning. But that could also work. But if you're just saying to be like, I pretend that I'm okay, then 괜찮다 is okay as well. That's probably the most common one. But I like that, very creative. Okay, so let's check these sentences. I was reading through all of them and I'm very impressed. Let me just read a few of the ones from members real quick. 괜찮은 척 했어요 from both Christopher and Paulina. Perfect. Sophia as well. Ocean Discovery. 이 생방송은 선생님이 처음으로. Oh, okay. I was like, that's a different sentence that I wrote here. 했던 방송 같더라고. 같다고. You can just say 같다고. 같더라고요 would be when you're recalling something was something. Like, I remember, I thought that it was similar to his other. But since you're saying right now, I think, present tense, you don't need that. You can simply say 같다고 생각해요, or however you want to finish the sentence. 아팠지만, Samantha, you have a tiny typo for 지만, but that's fine. The rest of yours is perfect. The sentence is great. 지만 괜찮은 척했어요. 아팠지만 괜찮은 척했어요. Okay, everyone has this. Everyone got this sentence. I'll write it up here, but yeah, everyone got it. And this one doesn't have too many different ways you could have said it. Like, you could have changed the verb. A few people tried to change the verb. I'll show that in a second. Okay. 아팠지만 아프다, to be sick or to hurt. So I was sick, but 지만 괜찮은 척 했어요. 괜찮다 meaning to be okay, to be fine. 괜찮은 척 했어요. So I pretended to be okay, but I was sick. So I was sick, but I pretended to be okay. 아팠지만 괜찮은 척 했어요. So maybe you get sick, but it's your friend's birthday, and you don't want to be like at his birthday. Although, why'd you go to his birthday if you're like all sick? Anyway, you get the idea. 아팠지만 괜찮은 척 했어요. So I was sick, but I pretended that I was okay. One small note, I saw a couple people, actually at least two, maybe three people, use the verb 건강하다. 건강하다 is not to be okay, but to be healthy. And it's a descriptive verb. So if you want to use it, it wouldn't become 하는, because that would be an action verb conjugation. It could become 건강한. But if you're saying I'm sick but I pretended to be healthy, that might seem like you're actually at the hospital, like you're unhealthy. Like actually not like you're sick, but just in general you are unhealthy. Then you could pretend to be healthy. Because if you said this sentence, I pretended I was healthy, then what does that imply? It implies you're normally, because you're sick, it implies you are not healthy. So maybe you're at the hospital, I don't know, everything's wrong with you. You're very unhealthy. You know, you had that 5th McDonald's pizza for lunch. You're totally unhealthy. But you pretended to be healthy. So this would imply your health is bad, not just that you're sick. So you wouldn't want to use this verb. Well, you could, but the context will be completely different. So I just want to point that out. The context would change if you use I pretended I was healthy versus I pretended I was okay. And looking at McDonald's does have pizza, just most locations don't have it. I think like one or two locations in the US has it or something, or maybe just a few. It's more rare than the McRib. Okay. Let me give you another one. Okay, I pretended to have drunk coffee. I pretended to have drunk coffee. Personally, I actually don't like coffee, so I don't drink it. One time I did, tasted gross, so I just don't like it. But if I'm around someone else and they're drinking coffee, they'll be like, "Here, Billy, you should try some." So what do I want to do? Well, maybe I just want to pretend that I already had coffee, so I'm full. Oh, I already drank coffee. You know, see, look, my hand's all jittery, like this. So I pretended to have drunk coffee. Okay, I'm going to read some of your sentences out loud. I don't want to wait. 커피를 마신 척했어요. Liania. I can't say if it's right or not because then it's going to spoil it for everyone. I'll just say excellent job. Maybe that does spoil it though. 마신 척했어요. 커피를 마신 척했어요. X emo kid. Check your spelling on kopi. What you wrote is actually nosebleed. That's what a vampire drinks is kopi every morning. Some hot kopi. But kopi is coffee. It's a common typo. Yes. Nice. 마신 척했어요. Nice. 커피를 마신 척했어요. 커피를 마신 채 했어요. Nice, Rita. Hooper. It's all of these classes are voted on. I'm sorry, they're selected by members. So if you want to get in on that action, join the channel and you can make requests for live streams. 마시고, Christopher Fox, remember how it's conjugated. There are only those 3 options. This is an easy form because you don't have other options for conjugating. You have 3. With an action verb, you have 는 or un for present or past. With the descriptive verb, you only have present. So it simplifies the process. You only have to deal with those conjugations. You wouldn't do 마시고 있은. You could simply do 마시는 or 마신. And that's it. And you're done. I mean, in context, you could do 마시고 있는 척했어요. Like, I pretended that I am drinking current. But it wouldn't, the tenses wouldn't match. So there wouldn't really be a lot of situations where you would use that. So yeah, it makes things easier, I guess. Okay, I pretended to have drunk coffee. Okay, remember the spelling is kopi. If you do kopi, literally nose, blood, that's if you get a nosebleed. 코피 났어요. I got a nosebleed. Coffee. Get a cup of coffee. Wait, how's it? Coffee. How do they say it? Because like my mom's from the New York originally, and it's always like coffee. I can't even do it. I can't even say it how she does. Okay, 커피를 object marker, and then we have 마시다 to drink. 마신 척했어요. I'm gonna explain this. 커피를 마신 척했어요. So I pretended, past tense, that I had drank, past tense, coffee. So I pretended that I had drunk coffee. How would this be different though if we said this? 마시는 척했어요. I pretended to be drinking coffee. So I pretended to be drinking coffee. That would be like this. You're holding up a tumbler and you're like, this coffee sure is hot and coffee-like. Wow, it's so strong, like real coffee. Oh, I love coffee. Coffee! That's 마시는 척했어요. 마신, in the past tense, 마신 척했어요. It's not that. 마신 척, past tense. So I pretended that I had drunk coffee. So you're saying, oh, I already finished this. Yeah, this was delicious coffee. Don't you just love a nice hot glass of coffee? I already had this coffee earlier when I drank this coffee. In the morning when you drink coffee. Coffee! So it's a different context. 마신 척 and 마시는 척. So you might want to use the past tense and the present tense when you're using action verbs. 커피를 마신 척했어요. So I pretended to have, past tense, drunk coffee. And I will say, though, most of the time you're just going to use the present tense. But there are times when you might want to use the past tense. So just keep in mind you might see both of them. Okay. I want you to finish this sentence. Actually, let me even write it a different way. Make it a little trickier. It's the same thing. I'll make it sounds a little trickier though in English. Okay. 하기 싫어서. I pretended I was sick. 하기 싫다 means you don't want to do something. So I'm going to give you a quick grammar lesson on that in a second. Oh, I got a donation. Samantha Johnson. Dab break. Oh, thank you. I needed a dab break. Samantha, thank you for being our class supporter. Let's do a dab break here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Whew. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Samantha. Okay, let's check the chat here. After we do the sentence, I'm going to go over this grammar after we do this. So I pretended I was sick because I didn't want to do it. So I didn't want to do it, so I just pretended that I was sick. Oh, I'm sick, I can't do it. How would you say that? Leania? Leania? I see you. Christopher? 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. Nice. 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 Everyone's getting it. Nice. Sophia, not. Oh, that's just a dab. Sophia, you got to do this sentence too, so I can say nice when I read it. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척. Oh, let me show that. Where'd that go? Okay. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. Paulina? 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 해. 아야카타, you need a tense there. Pretended. Yeah, serious. It's a workout. Imagine lifting these pythons in the air, both directions. I'm like the weakest, probably the weakest Korean teacher. Have you seen the other Billy who teaches? He doesn't teach Korean, but he teaches British English. Korean Billy. He's like ripped, totally buff. I'm like spaghetti. Mom spaghetti. Okay, let's see what else we got. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. 아픈 척 했어요. 아픈 척 했어요. Nice, nice. Rui Cheng. That would be a different meaning. That doesn't mean sick. And you would want to conjugate it into the past tense. And it's not typically used that way. I would just go with 아프다 for this sentence. Pancake, no, it would simply be the past tense. The reason is I pretended to have drunk coffee. You wouldn't ever need to say, I pretended that I had drunk coffee. It would not make any sense. It would sound awkward. I'll just say that. Just sounds awkward. Regardless of whether it could grammatically possibly be correct, it doesn't matter. It sounds wrong. So no, you wouldn't use it with the ton form. Only the past tense. But good question. I wonder what happens after a $1,000 donation. I just shave my head, take off my Billy shirt, and just like dance around like SpongeBob. That's what happens. But it's never happened before, so I could really say anything. Do a BTS dance, something like that. 하기 싫어서 아파된. Nope. You could say, because all you're saying is I pretend I was sick. So the only verb you need is to be sick. 아프다. There's only one way it can conjugate for this form. 아픈. That's it. So this form is easier. You don't need to try to complicate this form. It is really what it is. The only way you could complicate it is if the sentence was different. Like I pretended that I wasn't sick, or I pretended that because of this I got sick, or something like that you can add. But the form itself will always be simple like this. The only thing that can change is what you use around it. Pancake. I actually did a live lesson all about that, conjugating verbs. And I talk about how you can change, like which verbs you can know which change and which ones don't. That was when we talk about action verbs and descriptive verbs for conjugation. And you need to know that when you're doing negative conjugation. So I think it was in my negative verb live stream, which you can find in the Google document on my channel. Okay. So let me write this sentence up here, and then I'll explain how it works, and then we'll go on to the next sentence. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. 아프다, to be sick or to hurt. 아픈 척. So I pretended, 아픈 척 했어요. I pretended that I was sick. I pretended I was sick. I acted like I was sick. Because 하기 싫어서, because I didn't want to do it. This form here, 기 싫다, is a colloquially, a commonly used in spoken form, a commonly used in speech form that means you don't want to do something. So you would take the verb stem, the action verb stem, and you attach 기, followed by 싫다, and you can conjugate that. So 가기 싫어, 가기 싫어요. I don't want to. 가다, I don't want to go. 하기 싫어요. I don't want to. 하다, to do it. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. So again, this is only for informal speech. You're not going to be using this in an essay. You don't want to say this to your teacher or your boss or any sort of situation where you need to be polite. It has a casual sound to it, but it's not rude. 하기 싫어서 아픈 척 했어요. So I didn't want to do it, so I just pretended to be sick. Okay, the last sentence. I'm not going to give you any hints because it's short. This one you can say to all the people that are annoying you by pretending to be cute. Like doing aegyo, doing like, I don't even know what this is. Anything they're trying to do to act cute. Don't act cute. Hey, stop acting cute. Come on, I know you're acting cute. Don't do that. Don't act cute. Don't try to act cute, okay? I'm on to you. Stay sure, bunny. Yeah, all of that stuff. I think all of those things can happen at if we hit $1,000 in one stream. I mean, if it's $1,000 over all the streams, that's already happened. I think a few streams I've had where I'd get like $100 donation or something like that. Like I would buy equipment with it. It would have to be in one day. In one day for donations, then yeah, that's definitely what it can happen. Although no one really would care. I wear a hat anyway. I've been wearing this hat forever, so I don't know. Pancake says, I talked with a native. He said many sino verbs can use on and before the noun. Yeah, sino. It's not a solid answer, but a simple way is if you know if the verb is Sino-Korean, most likely you can detach it and put hada separately. But it's not so much about teaching it the easy way or the hard way, because the reality is there are exceptions to that. So that's a good way to start though, if you know that. But because most people don't know that, I think now it's better to teach it where you simply, if a verb is if it is an action verb and it ends with hada, then you can separate it unless it came from unless it's part of a grammar form hada, which is where you take a descriptive verb and you attach the yo form conjugation and then hada, like 좋아하다. Those ones can't separate. But if it's not one of those and it ends in hada, then you can separate it. So that might be an even easier way to teach it. But there are a couple other things you should know about that as well. So yeah, I would say you can check out my lesson about it. Even easier way is simply to not worry about it that much, because you'll learn, like I said, later you might learn 전하다 or 통하다 and stuff like that, which don't separate. And then you'll be like, well, what about that? That's technically from Sino-Korean. And so it's better simply to just kind of learn it however makes sense to you, because there are a lot of little exceptions to it. Stay sure, buddy. What about your family? What do you mean? Yeah, go ahead. Good luck. Good luck. I don't see that happening. Even the biggest live stream, I think I got like $300 in donation. Something like that. I think the largest live stream donation I've ever got, I think it added up to 300. So not even close to $1,000 to get me to do all those things. But you know, I won't say never, but probably never. Okay, let's see what everyone's answers are. 귀여운 척하지 마세요. Nice, Gianna. Riot X Van says, I didn't want to eat vegetables, so I pretended like I had eaten them. But you wouldn't say, because I don't like eating vegetables, I pretended to eat them, because it's not a cause and effect. So you might want to rewatch. I have a lesson about how to use the whole form. you could use but, like I didn't want to eat them, 는데, or 지만, or something like that, but you wouldn't do a cause and effect, because not liking the vegetables isn't causing you to pretend that you're eating them. You don't like them, but in contrast to that, you're still going to pretend to eat them. But if you change that, the sentence could work. 귀여운 척 하지 마. Nice. 귀여운 척 하지 마세요. Christopher. Nice. Let me check to the members' comments first real quick. 귀여운 척을 하지 마세요. Yes. Paulina. 귀여운 척 하지 마. Or 하지 마세요. Nice. You have two versions in there. Carrie. Typo for 귀. It should be 귀, like ear, not key. But yes. Oh no, I know, you took away. That was the rest of it was good. Just get the typo. Awesome. Okay, let's go back up and see what else everyone else wrote. 귀여운 척 하지 마. 귀여운 체 하지 마. Okay. 귀여운 X-emo, you want to use this form. 귀엽게 하다 has a different meaning than 귀여운 척. 귀엽게 하다 simply means to do something in a cute manner. Like 귀엽게 하지 마요. Like don't be cute about it is like if someone's doing something in a cute way, but that doesn't mean don't pretend to be cute. 귀여운 척 하지 마세요. 귀여운 척 그만해. Yeah, you could do that. 귀여운 척 하지 마. 귀여운 척 하지 말아요. 귀여운 척 그만해. Okay, oh, I see you wrote it twice. 귀엽게 척하지. Nope, you wouldn't do that. It would be 귀여운 척. 척하지 마세요. 귀여운 척하지 마세요. 저만 그래도 되잖아. Okay. I think what you mean is it's okay if I do it. I think that's what you're trying to say. 애교하는 척. You wouldn't do 애교하는 척 because if you are 애교, you're not pretending to do 애교. You are doing 애교, or you aren't. You wouldn't be pretending to do something that you simply do. Kind of want to spend all my savings. Feel free. I know it's not going to happen, so that's why I'm talking like this. Can you use 면 안 돼요? That just means don't do something. You can say 귀여운 척 하면 안 돼요. 귀여운 척 하면 안 돼요. Like you shouldn't do that. You can't do that. It's not saying don't do it, but it's saying you shouldn't or don't do that, like in that. Daniela, I was like shocked when I saw 200, and then I'm like, oh, thank goodness it's the other currency, which I have to look up again. I think it's like $5 or something. Let me check. $15. Awesome. Thank you so much. Daniela, our second supporter for today's class. I was so nervous that like she was trying to make me bald. Not yet. Give me a few more years. Hey there, Billy. I'm really excited that you're going back to Korea in a few months. Have you ever visited any Korean graveyards? Yes. I didn't make a video about this, but yeah, I have been to, I've been to some graveyards. If you mean just plain graveyards, yes. But also I've been to the historical graveyards, a few of them too. Some of them are quite cool. You can go to 동구릉. 동구릉 is in 구리, which is right next to Seoul. It's not that far from Seoul, maybe like an hour. And it has those giant mounds. And I posted it on Instagram when I went there. But these gigantic like hills. And those are the royal tombs. So there's that one, which was pretty cool. I walked all around it and saw all these mounds. It was gigantic. I've been to other smaller ones. I've been to older ones too. Some are just randomly in the city. Like it'll be on a street corner and you'll see these like random, rocks placed in a structure. And it looks like, oh, it must just be a decoration. But you see there'll be like a sign. It's like UNESCO site number, whatever. And it'll be some actual graveyard of, some royal family or something like that. Or some, people. And it'll say who they were and everything. There's one right next to the Hangul Museum, which I saw when I was there with my kid. And it's just this ancient grave area, and you can walk around it. It's just random, like it's just in the middle of nowhere. And that's kind of cool thing about Korea. If you're paying attention, when you're walking around, you might see something that looks like, oh, that must be like a a tourist site, like a reconstruction, and it's literally just the original site sitting right out there, and you can see it. And you're not supposed to touch it or anything, but you can just see it right there. So those types of places are really cool. And so yeah, if that answers your question, yes, I have seen a lot before. I have some nest egg. Honey, what did you spend all of our savings on? Bald Billy. Okay. Yes. 내일 시험이 있어서 지금 굉장히 스트레스가 있어요. Okay, I have lots of stress. 경주? No, not there. This would be in 구리. But there are other ones in Gyeongju. There are ones pretty much anywhere. Any city you go is going to have some sort of like large burial area. So you can see regular like burial areas, or you can see like royalty burial areas, because, you know, Koreans have been all over Korea, and there have been different, you know, regions of Korea that were controlling the whole country. At this point, this area was controlling, and so you'll get lots of those cool sites everywhere in Korea. If you're looking for historical stuff, you can get that anywhere around the country. Pancake. If you saw it without a space, that's just a typo. It needs a space. Always. But it's really common that people won't space it, Korean natives as well. So it's possible they just didn't check it. I mean, it's an honest mistake if they did it other places. If they did it in every spot, it just means they don't know spacing rules. They should probably brush up on their spacing. But it's not that big of a deal. There should be a space. I'm a stickler for spacing, but not all teachers are. I don't think it's a huge, if you mess it up, it's not a huge deal anyway. Okay, don't act cute. I would just memorize this sentence. 귀여운 척하지 마요. Or 마세요. Or ma. However you want to express it, whatever level of politeness you want to use when you tell someone, don't be cute. 귀엽다, to be cute. 귀여운 척하지 마요. Don't pretend, don't act like you're being cute. Don't act cute. Don't pretend to be cute. 귀여운 척하지 마요. Don't act cute. So, I wish I could say, actually I don't wish I could say, that there are, you know, oh, you need to keep this in mind, you need to keep this in mind, and watch out about this, and blah, blah, blah. Really, this is the heart of the entire expression. Now, someone gave a good point. You might also see 척 used with other things besides 하다, and that is literally because, as I explained in the beginning, it is 척 object marker 하다. So literally to do a 척 pretending like that. So if you say 귀여운 척하지 마요, you're saying don't do a 척, so don't pretend cute. Don't do a cute pretending. So you might see 귀여운 척 그만해, 귀여운 척, something else like that. But typically, it's not going to be used that way. Typically, you're simply going to see it with 하다. So keep an eye out if you see it used other ways. But as far as saying like any sort of basic thing, like someone pretended this, or don't do this, or he had pretended, or any of that is always just going to be with this basic form. You don't need any other special form to use this here. Okay, that is the lesson. That is everything you need to know about 척하다. You did awesome. I was impressed. This lesson, compared to other lessons where I only let you maybe try to solve like 3 or 4 questions, this one I had 6 sentences and you did all 6. And I tried to keep them varied. So I didn't want to reuse the same type of form or the same type of verb. Every sentence has different forms in it for a reason, because I wanted to try, well, what about this? And what about this sort of thing? And this past tense, or, you know, so you did everything I can think of for how this form is going to be commonly used. So give yourself a pat on the back. Pretty much everyone got it. Yeah, definitely over 90% of the responses I saw for all of these were accurate. And most of the other ones were either just a small typo. So yeah, awesome. Great job, everyone. Now we finished with the lesson, but it's right 3 o'clock. I'm going to do a short Q&A session. So if you have any questions to ask either about this lesson or any other lesson or anything, feel free to ask those now. But really quick, before I do that, I'm going to re-announce what I said at the beginning, and that is this next Sunday, there is no live stream. Why? Because I am going to Korea again next month, the end of next month. So in order to make the schedule nicer so that it doesn't, the short explanation is so that the schedule stays nice, because if I didn't rearrange it, then there's going to be like a 2-week gap before I even go to Korea, and then you won't get to see me again for a longer time. And I want to do a live stream right before I leave. So in order just to rearrange that, the number of live streams stays the same. You don't get any extras. You don't lose a single one. But there's not going to be a live stream next Sunday. Instead, there will be a live stream, again, 2 in a row, and then a break, and then 2 more in a row. And you can find all of that information in the Google document, which I will link again in the chat. Oh yeah, good point. Daniela gave a $15 donation. I didn't give her any dabs. That's not right. We got to fix that. Let's get some kimchi dabs here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh man, my biceps are killing me now. 1, 2, 13, 14, 15. Whew, 15 dabs there. Okay. So any other questions? Feel free to ask. You can stick around and ask those. Yeah, so that's the basic announcement. Just that there is a schedule of live streams. You can see the next live stream dates in there always. So there's no live stream next Sunday, but then after that, it's going to be 2 and then off and then 2 and then off, and I go to Korea. So it's going to be organized a little better. But yeah, I'm going back to Korea. So if you have requests for me, feel free to get those in. Dierdura. I like that you wrote it in Hangul now, so I can know how to pronounce it. Deirdre, McPrice. Deirdre, thank you so much. Deirdre. Deirdre. Do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh. Oh. These dabs are harder than they look. Sweating. Man, this is some delicious coffee. Okay. Peux-tu parler français? Non. Je peux parler français. Okay. Georgie is North Korean? Yeah, I don't know anything about North Korean spacing rules. I guess we'll find out someday when North Korea opens. I wouldn't know why they would do spacing there differently though. Because the concept of spacing is to divide every word into its own place. But they're dumb. The government or whatever over there. So, they can do whatever spacing they want. They have some other rules for Korean as well over there as well. Some of them I think are just dumb. Like it doesn't seem like they've thought about it. It seems like they just said, it's fine. Let's just do it this way to make it simpler. Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder to read though when it doesn't have spaces with some of it. But if that's how they want to do it, who am I to say anything? I can't even go there. Koreans often use bokda when they mean to drink. Yes, the reason is because you have the verb. So there's the verb 마시다, meaning to drink. And 먹다, meaning to eat, typically, right? Well, 먹다 actually doesn't mean to eat, literally. 마시다 specifically just means to drink. So it's to drink as in you're putting liquid into your mouth and swallowing. That's 마시다. Drink. 먹다 is consume. Putting anything into your mouth and swallowing. Consuming anything. But because it's used with food, most often, it gets translated as to eat. And that's fine. So if you're saying, I drank water, 물을 마시다, to drink water, that's fine. Doesn't sound awkward at all. But 먹다 can be used for both to eat and to drink. Most of the time, 먹다 is used for simply to eat. So if you want to say like I drank beer or drank coffee or drank water, anything, you can use 마시다. But you can also use 먹다. And that's fine. And the same thing goes for 드시다, the honorific form of to eat. 마시다 is only to drink. 먹다 can be either. So that's pretty much all you have to know. And it's not awkward to use it for drink. I'll just say it's a little less common, but it's not awkward at all. So yeah, you can use 먹다 for drink or to eat. But yeah, if you use 마시다, it's not awkward or anything like that. So yeah, don't worry about it. 약을 먹다, 약을 복용하다. Yeah, anything with 한자, a quick way to tell what the difference is. Anything with 한자 like that, when it has an alternative, will be a slightly more formal sounding version. It's up here. So it'll be a little bit more bookish sounding. Someone pretended to be. Oh, here. So someone asked a good question. They said, how can I say he pretended to be my friend? How would you say that? Anyone want to give it a try? Instead of he, because Korean doesn't use any pronouns. I mean, there are, but they're not actually used. Let's just say Charsu. Our friend Charsu pretended to be my friend. How would you say that? You can say it using what we already learned. You don't need any other things. What verb would you use here? Give it a try. Yeah. Paulina, close. You don't need the subject marker with the verb ida. I think you already know that. Like when you say 저는 미국인이에요, you don't need to say 미국인이에요 or anything like that, or 친구가이에요, just 친구이에요. So 친구이다. So 친구인 척했어요. Yes, nice, Christopher Fox. 친구인 척했어요. Nice. 내 친구인 척했어요 is also fine too. You don't even need 내, but you could to clarify. Like he pretended to be my friend. You could just say 친구인 척했어요. 내 친구인 척했어요. Good. 철수는 내 친구인 척했어요. 철수 pretended to be my friend. So this here, to be my friend. It's not to be cute, to be anything. It's just to be. So that's 이다. And the way you conjugate that as an adjective is 인. So 친구인 척 하지 마요. Don't pretend to be my friend. 친구인 척 하지 마. 친구인 척 했어요. 친구인 척 하고 있어요. They are just pretending. They are pretending currently to be my friend. 저희 친구인 척 했어요. Nice, Ocean Discovery. Yeah, good question. And we didn't have any examples of those 6 with the verb 이다, but now you can see it's the same form. Why is the 수은 할 수 있다 pronounced like that? That's a regular sound change rule when you have the lir plus a base consonant. So things like hi역, nian. Actually, sorry, not nian. What am I doing? Tigat, fiyak, shiyak, like that. Shiyak. It's not always, but about half of the time, whenever you have this following a lir, this will become a double. Like that. So you have 할 수, you get 할수. But it's not really a big deal. I would say just learn it as you come across it, because there are a lot of cases where that doesn't happen. For example, the word 알바 for a part-time job is not 알바. 알바. But if you're saying 알바, 네 알바가 아니야, like that's not for you to know, then it does. So like, just learn each case as you see it. Let's see. 물병. Water, 병, bottle. Pronounced as 물병, 물병. And you can check any of that on Naver Dictionary. If you put the word in, it'll tell you how you're supposed to pronounce it. Ahmed said, should it be 날 or 나의? Those are different words. 나의 for my. 날 is na plus the object marker. So that's someone doing something to you. Row 2, good night. 마술사인 척했어요. 마술, you don't need the 그는 part. 마술사인 척했어요. That person pretended to be a magician. Yes. 수업이 있는 척했어요. Pretended like there is class. I'm not sure the context where you'd use it, but grammatically you have it. Nice, nice. But yeah, great job, everyone. I was surprised to see, seriously, like almost every single person for every single question get all 6 of them right. And yeah, the ones that didn't, I'm sure you already fixed your typos. So there's not really a big issue. I don't feel worried at all about this form. I think you got it. I would say try to use it though. Try to make another sentence later today with it on your own. A sentence that I didn't give you an example of. Try to just make any sentence. This can be short. In fact, shorter is better. That way you know that you're going to be using this form. So you don't have to worry if you got this form right. Just do one example sentence and yeah, give it a try on your own. That way you can really internalize it so that you can, maintain it for a long time. Bonnie Runsfield, 수고 많으셨습니다. Thank you. Pancake, those would be 2 different meanings. The one, if you're just asking the time, 시간을 물어보다. 몇 시인지 물어보다 would actually be more common, to ask what time it is. But 시간에 대해 물어보다, that's like to ask about the concept of time. That's the second one is what you would do to if you met Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking. Although wait, they're dead. So who else would be? Is there anyone else like that right now that I should know about? Anyway, that would be like you ask a physicist about time. 철수가 나한테, not 날한테, but 나한테. 친구인 척해서 pretend like he's a friend to me. Okay. Oh, Serena says, do you have a lesson about depending on? Yes, I do. Check out the Google document. I'll link it again. Pretty much just assume I've already done it. But if I haven't, then please, by all means, let me know. I want to know what other ideas would you like me to see? What other classes would you like me to teach? But yeah, I do have lessons about pretty much everything. For as far as beginning and intermediate topics, everything, pretty much. But yeah, I'll still find some more stuff. That one definitely I've done one about. Depending on, there are actually a couple ways you can do it. So the live stream explains those. Yeah, I heard like that's the name that came to mind, but I heard he's not that. I don't know. It's not my place to diss someone, but I'm not a fan. I'll just say that. I liked Stephen Hawking's stuff better. Neil deGrasse Tyson seems more like a pop scientist, like someone who's a face of science, and I'm thinking who would be like one of the people who's still like doing the science. That's kind of what I'm curious about. Brian the Spaceman. I don't know that. It makes me think about Bill Nye the Science Guy, though. Bill Nye the Science Guy. I used to watch that show. Consider the following. 왜 모르는 척하고 있어요? Why are you pretending not to know? Very good sentence. Yeah, Julie Kim has it right as well. 시간에 대해 물어보다. I'm actually curious. Yeah, what is time? Is there time really? I mean, there would be, right? You'd assume that everything moves forward. There's causality. Something happens and then something else happens. Therefore, there's got to be time. But I don't know. Roger Penrose. See, these are names I don't know though. Like the smart people whose names everyone knew. Are they all gone? I guess. Did you start the 5th Cobra Kai? Yeah, of course. I'm watching that now. But don't spoil anything. Everyone else who likes the movie Karate Kid should watch Cobra Kai. It's a pretty fun series. Cheesy, but just the right amount of cheese. Just the right kinds of cheese. So it's good. It's about as cheesy as the original movie is. So. Do they make plaid hanbok? Yes, I'm sure they do. Are you suggesting I get a plaid? Hanbok is really expensive though. I've always wanted to buy my own hanbok just for me that I can wear. I would totally wear that if I go to like one of those palaces in Korea. For the one reason is you get in free admission if you're wearing hanbok. But I've always wanted my own hanbok, but they're very expensive. They're hundreds of dollars to get made. So I'm sure I could get a plaid hanbok made in these colors. And then I just have to figure out how they would say 그럼 다음에 또 봐 in the old Joseon dynasty. I haven't actually searched that before. Riot, a lesson about tehe. I have that. Check out the Google document that I linked. Pancake, you need a verb for 착하다 in that sentence. Hail RC, we need to start a fund for Billy's custom plaid hanbok. That fund will be right next to the Billy Shaves His Head fund and the Billy Dances BTS fund. So today's donations can go toward the, I'm not sure which one they want. I guess whoever donated can choose what fund you want it to go toward. The Billy Shaves His Head, Billy Dances BTS, or the Billy Buys a Plaid hanbok fund. These are the three campaigns going on right now. Have you ever done anything special to celebrate Chuseok? Not Chuseok, but Chuseok. No. One thing that people will do, though, is you'll eat 송편. 송편 is like it's like 떡, the rice cake. It's good. Just try it. I actually don't know how to make it, but it's one of the things. It's kind of like a dessert item. I think it's like a dessert, but it's just an item that you would eat together with other food on Chuseok. And I've never done a Chuseok though before because although it's considered like a Thanksgiving in Korea, the culture around it is completely different. I think that if someone visits the United States and does Thanksgiving, they're going to get invited. If they're with an exchange friend, or they're just, they have friends at college, you're going to try Thanksgiving, because at Thanksgiving we tend to invite family members, extended family members, really close friends, sometimes people we don't know very well. It's just kind of like everyone gets to eat something type of holiday. Chuseok is not. Chuseok, although they do traditional Korean food, it is for family only. So I've never been invited to one, because I've never, when I am in Korea during that time, or when I was, before I got married, whenever I was in Korea during that time, I never got invited because it's a family only thing. So I had friends and they're like, oh, have a nice Chuseok, bye. So it's like, I never got to see with my own eyes the types of Chuseok food. I've seen it in photos. I know what they are. I've had those foods separately outside of Chuseok because they're just regular traditional Korean food. You can get them anywhere. But I haven't ever had the whole Chuseok experience before, because I would have to be a Korean to do that, or I would have to be in a Korean family, or I'd have to go to my wife's house during that time, which I never am. So, yeah. Like mochi, well, mochi is the same word pretty much, but it's different. Korean tteok and Japanese mochi are a little bit different. The methods that they're used to make, traditionally, it's kind of the same. Traditionally, you'll get, you would do it by like hammering and stuff, but that's not how it's made anymore. Whereas in Japan, you still get that sort of process a lot. In Korea, you don't see it. The method for making it is more with a machine now. So you would grind the rice, and then you would go to a machine which turns it into tteok. In fact, my mother-in-law had done that, where she brought the rice to a factory, and the factory would grind it and make the tteok for her. And then she'd get this gigantic, like this big of a plate filled with tteok, like piled high. And she'd be like, all right, everyone, eat tteok. It's like impossible. You can't even finish like one row of it. It's so much. Even just like one long piece makes you full. But yeah, if you ever can try fresh tteok, it's really good. But a little bit different texture, I would say, between Korean and Japanese style. And they're both good, but they're different. You wouldn't use the Japanese style mochi to make tteokbokki, for example. That would be gross. It'd be like super soft. The Korean one typically can be a little bit harder. I don't mean like hard, but like less soft than the mochi variety that you might be familiar with. Do you regularly speak Korean with your son? Yes. In fact, I filmed 2 more videos with him. And the first one is going to be next month, I believe. We went to the Gyeongbokgung and we wore hanbok. And the whole video is in Korean. And then I did another video with him where we went to the Hangul Museum and only spoke in Korean as well. That will be a couple weeks after that gets uploaded. So look forward to those. 2 more videos coming out with my kid. But you'll see it pretty rarely. I'm not going to be making too many videos with my kid unless he asks me first. I don't typically want to pull him into being in this channel because I don't want to be like, I want it to be, if he wants to be in the videos, it's because he wants to. So you won't see him too much. Just sometimes he'll be, I want to be in a video, put me on your video. And then we do it. And that's not too often. Hey, yeah, steam with pine needles. That's right. Yes. See, okay, I have a story about that. So when you make songpyeon, one of the ways, I remember that, one of the ways it's made, the special thing that gives it a nice flavor, a nice scent, is that when it's steamed together with pine needles. Now, you know pine needles, like basically Christmas tree. So it has like a Christmassy smell to it. And also when it's served, sometimes it'll be served with a bed of pine needles on it, just kind of to enhance the experience. So in Korea, there is a drink. This is all the same story. In Korea, there is a drink that you can buy called soraenun. And in the past, the recipe changed. I'd say maybe 2010 or something. It's not as good as it used to be. But originally, it is a pine needle flavored drink. So if you drink it, it tastes like you're drinking sweetened Christmas tree. And I used to really like it, actually. When I was living in Korea, I used to drink this all the time. soraenun. Any Korean knows what this is. soraenun. It's great. But then they changed the recipe, I think in like 2010 or something, and they made it a lot sweeter. And they reduced the amount of pine smell that it has. So now it's just kind of like lightly pine smelling sugar drink. It's not as good. I think it was better when it had a stronger flavor. Okay, so I knew about this drink and I liked it. So what do you think my reaction was when a Korean brought out a plate of songpyeon for the very first time? I was like, hey, Billy, I got this songpyeon. You want to try it? So they gave me this, they brought me this plate and they held it out to me. And it had a bed of pine needles and songpyeon. So, like any foreigner would do, who thinks, oh, I love soraenun. I love the pine needle. I guess Koreans eat pine trees. I didn't know it's edible. So I grabbed one. It had all the pine needles stuck on it. It was covered with pine needles. So I'm chewing it. And it's like poking my mouth. Tastes horrible. You know, it tastes like wood. Now the songpyeon inside was good, so I was like, I guess it's good overall. I don't like the texture too much because of these pine needles, but the taste of the songpyeon is pretty good. I'm just chewing it and they're like waiting for me to say what I think. And I was like, okay, I guess overall it's not too bad, you know, chew it and swallow it. And they were just so shocked. And they're like, is it good? They just asked me, oh, 맛있어요? Does it really taste good? Like, oh, 괜찮아요, 맛있어요. And then that was it. That was the whole interaction. And from my point of view, I thought they were shocked that I liked it because, you know, this foreigner enjoys Korean food. They must be shocked that I like, you know, kimchi. They must be shocked if they heard I like kimchi too. No, they were shocked because I just grabbed a handful of pine needles and shoved them in my mouth and swallowed them. Yeah, I did eat the pine needles, and it was a memorable experience. So now I know that that's not how you eat them. That's how they're prepared. So yeah, if you see songpyeon, do not eat the pine needles. So typically you're not going to see the pine needles anyway. It was just that person's presentation was to put pine needles. You're supposed to pick it up, pull the pine needles off and eat it, right? But yeah, I didn't know that. My breath smelled great, probably for that the whole rest of the day. Let's see. Rushing War says, do you have a lesson on more common Korean versus textbook Korean? I did a comedy skit with Semur. You can find in my on my channel called Real Korean versus Textbook Korean. Check that out. It's exactly what you're asking. Okay. Anyway, I think I'll end the live stream on that story. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope that you understood this lesson today. It was fun teaching it. I do feel like most of you got it. So go out and make an example sentence using this form to a pen pal, online, Twitter, whatever. Oh, it's like hiccuped all in like right in the middle while I was talking. Like I was saying, try actually going out and using it. And if you don't use it, you're going to forget it. That's why. That's why I wanted to make sure you do all these sentences in the live stream, because I want to make sure you remember these beyond just this live stream today. Thank you for coming, everyone, and I will see you again next time. That will be in 2 weeks. So no live stream on Sunday, but then 2 weeks, I'll see you again. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Evolving brain. I was just about to push stop in evolving brain. I pretended to like coffee. Evolving brain. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.